There are many types of fraud out there, and it's not something to take lightly. Joining us today with some insight on how we can protect ourselves is Jared Wilbur with Washington Trust. Jared, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
This is a very important topic.
I agree, yeah.
You know, a lot of people out there worry about this.
Yeah, you know, and I'm happy to be here because the more people we can get this education to before something happens, the more prepared they are.
Which is such a good point. You know, what is elder financial exploitation?
So it can really take two forms, and it's really any kind of financial abuse of our senior population, which in Rhode Island is any adult over 60, which feels closer and closer now.
I'm like, don't say that.
Yeah, typically in the past, people were thinking about elder financial exploitation really more as family and friends and caregivers taking advantage of our seniors. What we're seeing now is a shift to more third-party scammers taking advantage of our seniors.
Wow, it's unbelievable. Now talk to me about this. What are some common types of fraud and really most recent scams?
So some of the most recent ones we've seen is something called pig butchering. And we didn't come up with that.
I've never heard of that.
The scammers came up with that one. And they referred to their victims as pigs, and they quote, fatten them up for the slaughter.
Wow.
And they're having customers drain their financial and investment accounts, 401k balances, pension disbursements. And then they bring the pig to slaughter, so to speak, by having them invest in cryptocurrency with the promise of large returns and completely false investment portfolio returns being shown to them online.
Oh my gosh.
And then when the seniors go to withdraw their money, there's nothing there.
There's nothing there, which is so scary, very scary. Now, what are some red flags to really look out for? Any viewers watching right now?
So anytime somebody wants you to misrepresent the details of a financial transaction, that should be a huge red flag. No government agency, no legitimate bank or investment, no law enforcement agency will ever ask you to misrepresent the details of a transaction to your bank. If they do, that's a huge red flag, right? Anytime somebody wants you to take in money and then send money on to somebody else, that's called being a money mule. That's a form of money laundering. That's also a red flag that we see in these scams. You know, once they've drained the seniors of their assets, they'll start funneling money through their accounts to kind of, keep them on the hook and keep them engaged.
That's unbelievable. So scary. And what should you do if you suspect fraud?
So the first thing you should do if you suspect fraud, especially if any money has gone out the door, is notify your bank, and minutes matter. Once you've notified your bank, we can initiate recalls on wire transfers, and while the hope of recovery is very slim, that's your best bet. The other thing is file a report with a government agency called the Internet Crime Complaint Center. And that website is ic3.org. And that database is used by law enforcement to get cases into queue with the FBI and Secret Service so that they can start pursuing recovery. And even in the circumstances where there's no funds to recover, they use that database to link cases together to identify victims, and in the event money is recovered, get that money back to where it belongs. And
anyone that does suspect this, don't be embarrassed. Make sure that you definitely reach out to your bank immediately, because you said minutes do matter. That's important.
And it's important to note, a lot of these cases go unreported. So I think in 2022 it was estimated that the elder financial exploitation losses were over $3 billion.
Oh my goodness.
But that's the tip of the iceberg, because most people don't report because they're embarrassed. They feel stupid or ashamed. Don't
feel that way.
Report it, because that's the only way we're going to stop this, harm to you and harm to others, because if they're successful with you, they'll keep going.
Right, absolutely. Jared, thank you so much for being here. Such good information and such important information. Now you can find out more information about Washington Trust Security Center and fraud prevention education right over at our website, roadshow.com.